you ever tried to start a new habit that didn't stick? Here's one of mine I've tried many times. I'm gonna cut out sugar. I don't feel good when I eat a bunch of sugar or junk foods. I'm just gonna cut that out of my life. And I throw it all away. I get rid of it, clean it out of the house, and it goes great for about 36 hours. And then I am craving it. I'm sometimes digging it out of the trash. I'm like, oh, this is unopened. I can still eat this. I'm going to the store and getting more. And it's like that habit did not stick. Habits can be tricky to engineer so that they last, but they are absolutely essential to making changes in our lives. Habits are the little steps that lead us in a long-term direction. In fact, an old Chinese writer, Lao Tzu, said this: watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character becomes your destiny. Habits are absolutely critical, and maybe you've got this specific change that you've been looking at, wanting in your life, or maybe there's a specific area you want to move into blessing mode in that area of your life. Now we're going to talk about how. How do we move in that direction? And the answer centers around habits. Here are a few Bible passages that talk about the importance of this kind of practice. 1 Timothy 4, 7 and 8 says this: train yourself to be godly. Train yourself to be godly. Training is a repetitive action. It says physical discipline is of some value, but spiritual discipline, godliness, has promise in both this life and the next. We've got to train ourselves, put ourselves in the place where we're making habits natural. 2 Timothy 1:7 says this: for God did not give us a spirit of fear and timidity, but a spirit of power and love and, check this out, self-discipline. He's given us the ability to make choices that lead us in the direction of our destiny. And that is really exciting. Now, there are habits you already have that are automatic. There are some habits you have it doesn't take any effort at all to do. For example, maybe one of those for you is brushing your teeth. You brushed your teeth today, or you brushed your teeth yesterday, and you didn't have to tell yourself, I gotta brush my teeth. Man, I hate it. It's so hard, but I'm gonna do it. It's probably an automatic habit. It doesn't take any effort, doesn't take any discipline. You do it well, you move on. Those are automated, and that's awesome because it doesn't take any effort. But there are other habits you probably want that are really hard. It's like climbing uphill. How do we get those new hard habits to become automatic to the point where it doesn't require any thought, any extra effort? It's just part of our normal lifestyle. That is where we're headed now. How to engineer habits that turn into lifestyle transformations. Okay, so what would help is if you pick out your specific change that you want to see happen, that you're praying for, that you're in faith believing. And now we're going to start adding the foundation of how to engineer habits that will move us in that direction. The first question we're going to ask is who? Who is making this change, or who is developing this habit? And this is really important because this is a question of identity. If our identity, if our sense of self is not aligned with the transformation, it will not stick. We will continue to steer the car toward the direction of our self-proclaimed identity. Let me give you an example. If you have struggled with alcohol and you've been drunk way more days of your life than you ever want to admit, and you go to a recovery group that says, hey, identify yourself. Hi, my name is so-and-so. I'm an alcoholic. I've been sober for 302 days. Pause right there, because what we have just done is we have proclaimed an identity as an alcoholic. I am what? I am an alcoholic. I am a worrier. I am a complainer. I am a smoker. I am blah, blah, and I'm trying to change and I'm trying to get here, but I am bad with money. I am an angry man. whoa, we gotta start. That's where the transformation starts. That's where the identity shifts, and it shifts by our choice of who we say we are. Because if you're defining yourselves by your past mistakes, if you're defining yourself and your identity by all the things you want to leave behind, you're just tying a leash to yourself that's going to drag you right back. I'm not an alcoholic who's been sober for 302 days. I am a healthy, vital, sober person. And yeah, 302 days ago, I used to drink. See the difference? Totally different identity. Our identity will be the compass that our habits follow over time. Even if we tell ourselves, no, I'm going to make a change, our identity is going to be the compass that we follow. So let's start by changing our sense of identity. Whatever your change is, I want you to write down the following. I am, and then finish the sentence. If it's health, I am a healthy person. If it's being more kind to your kids, I am a kind parent. You go, well, that's not true. I yell at them all the time. It actually is true. You're also kind to them. Maybe you yell at them all the time, but you also do things for them because you love them. You also provide for them. You also care for their needs, right? You do kind things too, and you do unkind things, but I bet there's probably a lot more kind things than you realize, so you get to choose. The evidence is on both sides. You get to pick which one is your actual identity. Which one are you really? Are you an angry parent, or are you a kind parent that is changing that anger? Your decision of what you say you are will absolutely set the compass. And here's the root of all this. It's not just who you choose to be, it's who God says you are. This is the foundation of our identity, guys. When we get a handle on this, God says that I am a new person in Christ. God says that I have a spirit that brings joy and kindness. Those are the fruits of my life through his spirit. God says I am not condemned or judged by my past sins that were forgiven. I am free. I am not condemned. I am made whole. I am healed. I have a hope. I have a purpose. I have self-discipline. I have a spirit of self-control. I have power in God. I have life in God. When we start saying this, we start enacting a deep, deep level change that will steer our habits. So write it down. I am, and then finish the sentence, toward the direction of your transformation. Go ahead and write it down. The second one is why. First we asked who. Who am I? The second one is why. Why do I want to make this change? Not just what change or what habit. Oh, I'm trying to read the Bible every day, or I'm trying to eat healthier, or I'm trying to save some more money. Why? What is the reason behind that habit? Because this is really critical. If we don't have a good sense of why, we might get locked onto a habit that's not actually helping us in the long run. For example, let's say your change or your goal is, I want to be physically healthier and have more joy. Because being healthy will help me have more energy and vitality and joy. So I'm going to be physically healthier. So you say, my habit is I'm going to run for 30 minutes a day. Because I have friends who are happier and healthier than I am, and they run for 30 minutes a day. So I'm going to do that habit. And as you get into the habit of running for 30 minutes a day, after a few weeks, you realize, I can do it, but I hate running. I hate running. It's a chore all the time. But I've committed to being disciplined and running 30 minutes a day. And so I'm going to do it. Even though I'm seeing some results in my health, I'm not seeing any results in my joy. In fact, I hate it and I dread it, but I got to stick to it. Pause, time out. That might not be the best habit for you because your reason is health and joy. Let's change the habit. Instead of running, maybe you love to swim. Or maybe you love to do group exercises. My wife loves to Zumba. If she had to run for 30 minutes a day, it would bring misery to her life, but she gets in a Zumba class and she comes alive. She loves it. And so switching the habit to better align with the reason or the outcome gives us freedom to say, I wasn't undisciplined. I just made adjustments. Keep asking the why. So you have a change in mind. You wrote down who you are, your identity statement that aligns with that change. Now I'd like to ask you to write down, why do you want to make that change? Pause the video for a minute. Just write down, I want to make this change because. We've asked who, we've asked why. Now let's talk about what. What specific habit are we going to engineer? If you can, pick a keystone habit or a really important habit that if it goes well, it will carry a lot of good changes in its wake. That's a keystone habit. That'll be really helpful. And then we want to understand the difference between evolutionary and revolutionary change. Revolutionary change is when you change a bunch of stuff really quickly all at once. And sometimes that is the best way to change. And if you can do it, great, make a revolutionary change. But evolutionary change is a small incremental change over a long period of time that grows. So most of our habit formation would be better served as a small gradual habit formation change. Because how many times have you tried to take on this huge change and then it fell apart? It was just too much or too quick. Time is in our favor if we're doing small incremental changes. This is what brings us to the domino effect. The domino effect is a really helpful principle when forming habits. It basically says this: if you stack up the dominoes correctly, you can start with a really little change and then put a little bit larger change next to it, and then a little bit larger and a little bit larger and a little bit larger. So the momentum from the first change carries into the second one, and the second one is a little bigger, carries into the third one. I'd encourage you to pause for a minute and search on YouTube domino effect or cascading dominoes or larger dominoes, and you'll see people with videos who have done this. They started with a really little domino and then 1.5 times bigger dominoes, 1.5 times bigger, 1.5 times bigger. And eventually, by clicking one little domino over, it knocks over this domino that's the size of a building, literally like a 2-story domino that's 1,000 pounds. That's the power of the domino effect. Engineering little changes, stacking them up next to each other. Let me give you an example. I have a friend who said, I really want to get in shape. Can you help me? And so I said, okay, well, talk to me. What do you want to do? And he's like, well, I used to be an athlete. I used to do 500 push-ups a day, literally. And now I just have gotten out of the habit of exercising at all. Don't know how to get back into it. I said, okay, well, talk me through your morning routine. What do you do? So he said, well, I get up, I go to the bathroom, I get dressed just like everybody. I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. As soon as you get dressed, drop to the ground and do 1 push-up and then go about your day. He's like, 1 push-up? That's ridiculous. What are you talking? That's too easy. And I was like, how many are you doing now? None. Okay. All right. Do 1 push-up. And so he did. He started doing 1 push-up. And of course, 1 push-up led to 2, 2 led to 3. You see where this is going. But stacking up little incremental changes over time gives us momentum. And it actually makes it pretty easy to make something automated. So I'd encourage you to take a moment, write down what exactly the small engineered habit you can begin is that will feel easy. Like, I know I can do this. And if I do this for a while, then I know I can do this, and then I can do this, and then I can do this. So start with 1, write it down, build it in. Then we're going to ask the question, where and when do I do this habit? And be as specific as possible. Where and when are often the reasons our habits fall apart. We know what we want to do, but we didn't think and engineer the where and the when closely enough. So let me give you an example. Another friend says to me once, hey, can you pray for me? I really want to read the Bible every day. I said, that's a great goal. Tell me when you want to do it and what do you want to do? And he's like, well, I want to read the Bible every morning before I go to work. But most mornings I forget. I'm not even doing it like 2 or 3 days a week. It's usually less than that. So I asked him to talk me through his morning routine. What do you do? I get up, I go downstairs. First thing I do is I make a pot of coffee, and that's when I want to read the Bible, but I usually get on my phone and instead I'm flipping through social media for 10, 20, 30 minutes. The coffee's done. I have to go to work. I didn't read it at all. I was like, okay, here's what I want you to do. Where's your Bible located? Because he wanted to read his physical Bible, not the Bible app. And she's like, well, it's on my kitchen table. All right, where's the coffee pot located? It's on the counter in the kitchen. It's like, here's what I want you to do. go home, move your Bible from the table and put it directly next to the coffee pot. Like, this sounds so simple. Just put it directly next to the coffee pot, and then as soon as you start making your coffee, open the Bible, read one verse, and close the Bible. So he's like, what? That's crazy. So I'm like, just try it. So he goes home, he moves the Bible next to the coffee pot, prepares it, makes the coffee, he opens it, reads one verse. I checked with him a month later. He's like, I've almost never missed. It's going awesome. It's every day. And of course, I'm reading more than one verse now. Where and when. Engineer that where and when, and you'll have a lot stronger success with the habits. So when it comes to habit formation, we absolutely need important habits, and we need to stack them up little by little so that over time we're gaining incredible momentum. Imagine if you picked 2 or 3 keystone habits per year. That's just one every 4 months. But over 10 years, that's 30 life-changing habits that are now automatic. They don't take effort. They've stuck. They're a new lifestyle change. We have to change our identity statements. I am this kind of person. We've got to be really clear about the why so that we can continue to pursue the why, not just the habit. And then we have to make really clear the what, stack it up, give ourselves enough time and momentum to carry it to a big change, and then be really intentional about engineering where and when, and you can build this habit. So I encourage you right now, AKI, take this knowledge, apply it immediately before you leave, before you do anything else. Write it down, fix it out, move the Bible, set your workout shoes next to your bed, set up the meal plan, or whatever you need to do to engineer this habit. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it. You got this.